Hello viewers, how are you? Welcome to Elimu TV. This is the #1 station where you watch and learn. And today I'll be taking you through Biology Form 3. Our topic today is growth and development. Our subtopic is primary and secondary growth. This is lesson 36. And I'm your tutor, Madam Sandra Awino. By the end of the lesson, you will be able to, number one, identify the region of secondary growth. Identify the region of secondary growth in the stem. And number two, describe secondary growth in the stem. Describe secondary growth in the stem. So there are steps in secondary growth. The first step is the formation of secondary xylem. And secondary phloem. Number two, formation of the cork. And number three, formation of the lenticels. Let's describe what happens. So the process of secondary growth takes place as below. The first step is the cambium divide to form new cells. Can you see the cambium in the diagram? Can you see? In our first diagram, can you see the vascular cambium? So the vascular cambium divides to form new cell. The first step is the vascular cambium divides to form new cell. The new cells are added to the older cells. So after the division of the cambium, that cambium that has divided, the cells differentiate to form the secondary phloem and the secondary xylem. Listen guys, the first step of secondary growth is the cambium divides to form the new cells. And you can see in our diagram we have the vascular cambium. So the vascular cambium divides to form the new cell. And then after the cambium has divided to form the new cells, those cells formed, the new cells differentiate to form the secondary phloem and the secondary xylem. Can you see in our diagram? You can see in our diagram, the second diagram, we have the primary phloem and the secondary phloem. You can see the cambium has divided. After formation of secondary phloem and secondary xylem, the new tissues formed exert pressure on the outer cell of the stem. The new tissue formed exert pressure on the outer cells of the stem. After exerting pressure, this results into stretching and rupturing of the epidermal cell. So the epidermal cell of the stem does what? Ruptures. Why does it rupture? Because the new phloem, that is the secondary phloem and the secondary xylem, were not there. They have been formed, and so they exert pressure on the outer wall of the stem. They exert pressure, resulting into stretching and rupturing. They rupture and rupture and rupture. So to replace the outer protective layer of the stem, a new band of cambium known as the cortex is formed. So that is the process of secondary growth. You have to remember the first step is what? The cambium divides to form new cells. The second step is the new cells form secondary phloem and secondary xylem. The third thing that happens is that the secondary phloem and secondary xylem exerts pressure on the outer cells of the stem. So when they exert pressure, what happens? The stem stretches and ruptures. The stem stretches and rupture. So they have to be replaced. They have to be done what? To be replaced. So a new band of cambium cells are formed known as the cortex. And have you ever seen stems with ruptured epidermis? Those are known as the lenticel. Most stems have ruptured epidermis. This is brought about by secondary growth. So we've come to the end of our lesson. And I have an assignment for you. Identify the region of secondary growth. Number 1, identify the region of secondary growth. Secondary growth takes place in the cambium. We've said it takes place in the what? In the cambium. Number 2, describe secondary growth. Describe secondary growth. For reference, you can study KLB Secondary Biology Student Book 3, KLB Biology Student Book 3, that is the 5th edition. For this and more, please contact us. Our phone number is 0723 144 On YouTube, you can get us on Elimu TV's Facebook, Elimu TV, and Twitter at Elimu TV _KE.